Hello, folks, and welcome back. This is one of those episodes where you say, how are we going to fit this all in? We're going to cover our entire week that we spent in Tokyo and wrap up our time in Japan. We've got cats, dogs, guitars, art, sushi, all my favorite stuff. Come tag along.
Our hotel was located not too far from kind of the Shinjuku area. This is like a pretty cool neighborhood, lots of restaurants, bars, pretty happening, crazy area. So our hotel was actually just kind of one metro stop away, which is kind of nice. It was right across from the National Stadium, right beside a big park. So it was relatively quiet at our hotel, which we kind of needed after a day in Tokyo. But also, the rooms were a little bit bigger. We had a balcony with a view most days of Mount Fuji. So it was a really nice spot to stay.
And we'd figured out by that point the transit cards and how to get around on the metro, which was awesome. You just used your card. You could throw more cash on it any time at the station. And so we were off into the races. To help us get our bearings here in Tokyo, one of the first things we did was to join a walking tour, and this kicked off at Shibuya Station, which happens to be one of the busiest train stations in the world. You see 2 to 3 million people pass through here every day. So we met at Shibuya Station, saw a famous work of art here to kick things off, Myth of Tomorrow, from one of Japan's famous artists, and then stepped out into the street to the famous Shibuya Crossing. And this is one of the busiest pedestrian intersections in the world as well. And at any given time, when the lights change and you cross, you can be there with 2,500 to 3,000 people all crossing the street at once. Our tour also wrapped up nearby with another stop I was really excited to see. This was the statue of Hachiko, Japan's probably most famous dog, most beloved dog. And the way that the story of Hachiko goes is he belonged to a professor who would take the train into work in the city each day. He would walk his professor owner to the train station and come back to the station each afternoon to greet him. Now, the professor passed away in the city one day, and Hachiko came to the station and no one was there to meet him. The dog continued to come back to the station for 9 years until he passed away, and he's beloved for the way that he symbolizes loyalty. So, as you know, we love dogs, so I was very excited to see the statue to Hachiko, and one of my favorite dog stories.
One of the top attractions in Tokyo is Team Labs. Now, there's two locations. One is Team Lab Planets, and there's Team Labs Boundaryless, I think. We went to Team Labs Planets, and this is like in a big kind of warehouse. It's an art installation, but it's all about interactivity and immersion in the art. One of the themes was water. And for this, we had to take our shoes and socks off, roll up our pants, and we were kind of knee deep at some points. We got to walk up kind of a waterfall, and then there was kind of a digital fish pond.
Sure.
It was pretty neat, actually, to kind of walk around in this kind of artistic environment. And it was really neat that it was interactive, and they do kind of reserved time starts. So you never felt like it was too crowded. You kind of got to go through at your own pace. There were kind of other areas too, so we put our shoes back on for kind of some of the areas. What were the other areas?
One of my favorites, you actually downloaded an app onto your phone, and you could walk through various rooms and hunt for animals with a little bow and arrow on your phones and try and catch these extinct animals, and then it would download some facts about that animal to your phone in the app. We hung out there for a good 40 minutes probably. I could have hunted animals for ages there. That was a really fun one. And some of the other ones where you got to sort of bop around and walk from stone to stone, how things lit up and reacted to your actions. Like you say, it was a really interactive one. Really unique, pretty fun day.
A lot of our days in Tokyo we spent kind of exploring different neighborhoods. and kind of what there was to see in those neighborhoods. We had pretty good weather. It was dry, mostly sunny, a little bit cool. So we kind of really just enjoyed being outside. Right next to our hotel was a big park, Shinjuku Gion. Anyway, it was a really neat park, and they actually had lots of plum blossoms. And we were there in the sunshine, kind of walking around this big park, kind of had the typical Japanese garden, so that was really cool to see. And then they also had this really big greenhouse with lots of different plants, and so we kind of had a nice walk around there. It was a really kind of nice morning that we spent there. Another park area that we liked was actually around the Meiji Jinku Shrine. And this was just a big kind of park area around the shrine. We walked by this huge lineup of sake barrels, and these were actually an offering to Meiji. And we saw some of these at other shrines too. So we kind of had to look it up and see what this is all about. But that was kind of neat. And it was just nice to walk around that area. That was right next to the area we had done the walking tour in. So we also kind of wandered around some of the streets and shops and cafe in the area. It's where we, I think, ran into the Fender store.
That's true. Yeah, Fender Guitars has a flagship store there in Tokyo. Shout out to JP for mentioning I should maybe look this up. It was 4 stories of guitars, a Fender cafe in the basement, beautiful custom shop guitars that were far beyond my budget. I haven't talked lately about things that my restraint and things that I have not bought. I was at the Fender store and I did not buy the Hello Kitty electric guitar with matching case. Good job, me. Another random attraction that we kept running across, and I was just completely transfixed by this, were the capsule stores. And these were these shops full of these little vending machines, and you'd plug in maybe $2 or $3 Canadian, and they were themed. You could get little cat figures, you could get sushi figures or keychains, baseball players. I got myself a keyboard, a music keyboard, and a little guitar as well. So a very interesting clientele. It wasn't just kids that were in there, it was folks in their 20s and 30s and on up. So capsule stores, a very unique Japanese attraction as well.
Another thing we enjoyed is we did get to one of the museums. We went to the Tokyo National Museum. This was kind of a classic museum, lots of history artifacts here. We kind of enjoyed this interactive part where they showed you kind of how print blocks worked, and we got to kind of go and make our own version of it, so that was kind of neat. They also had kind of lots of samurai swords, and again, the samurai armor. It was a pretty big museum to do, but lots of stuff to see, so we kind of enjoyed that. And then on our way out, we were kind of walking through the park where there was a bunch of museums, and there was kind of a little samurai festival happening. And there was a tents with food, and we had some more octopus balls, which is takiyami?
Takoyaki.
Takiyaki, close. Which we had first had in Osaka on our food tour. And so we had just some of these, as this was the biggest lineup, I think, outside. Everybody seems to love them. They're pretty good. I'm not really sold on having octopus, but I give it a go.
Speaking of food, I mean, you know us by now, we don't go hungry, so we treated ourselves to some wonderful Kobe beef one evening, which was good, but we also have really good beef in Canada, so it wasn't exactly blown away, but it was a pretty good treat. I also just really enjoyed all the ramen, all the varieties of ramen we had. That was sort of my go-to while we were here. And of course, we also got out for sushi.
Yeah, I want to the ramen too. We had an amazing ramen in a lobster bisque. That was probably one of the highlights. That was really unique, really neat. We really enjoyed the sushi in Japan, of course. We did one fancier dinner out where we made a reservation. We were sitting kind of right up at the counter as chef was making the sushi for us. I think we had about 11 courses or so. and the chef told us a little bit about it and kind of put it in front of us. It was a really nice evening. Also, with some of those courses, we had tempura, which was excellent as well. As some of the best tempura I think I've ever had,
Sea urchin.
and sea urchin as well as like a kind of classic in Tokyo. And then we enjoyed just the kind of the sushi that was just at like the average restaurant, less costly, but also really good. It was a really neat experience.
So at this one, you ordered everything on your tablet. The only time we interacted with a person was when we paid at the end and they brought us our beers. Otherwise, everything came out on a conveyor belt, and they had a little spur on the conveyor belt. So if you had ordered, the door would flip and it would come straight to your table. So we had an excellent feed there. We ate so much. I think it came to about $75 Canadian all in. So a pretty good feed there as well. Now, we've saved the best for last here. I'm sure you're wondering, how has Craig been in Japan for this long and hasn't talked about cats? Because don't they love cats over there? Yes, they do. So we're going to finish up with a few cat stories for you. Where were we first?
First off, we stopped in at a cat cafe, and the animal cafes are kind of classic things to do in Japan. This was really nice cat cafe, totally calm. Cats were very calm. I think it was usually you pay to get in, and that includes something with your entry. So we paid, I think, about 20 Canadian, and I think we got a cocktail with that. So not too bad. And I mean, I was kind of surprised that people would pay just to get in a room with cats. I mean, you can go down to the Auto Humane Society and sit with the cats if you want. You could go to somebody's farm and sit with the cats in Manitoba. But people in Japan pay for this. Although it was really hectic in the area that we were at. We'd gone and visited a shrine. It was kind of chaos. It was a beautiful Saturday. And then it was just pure calm in the cat cafe. And it was really nice break and really relaxing. So I actually really enjoyed it.
Our second and final cat story for you here is the beckoning cat. I was really excited to get to the shrine, and if you've been in an Asian restaurant or shops, you might have spotted somebody like this at the till. I don't even know where I got this. I've had this before our travels, but this is the beckoning cat with his hand up, sort of waving you over. And the idea is that he'll bring good luck, good fortune, and prosperity to your business. And the way the origin story goes, one of the origin stories is that this cat was at a temple, at a shrine, and a very wealthy lord was walking by in a storm, and the cat raised his hand and beckoned him over. He strode over to the cat, and then just where he had been standing, lightning struck. So it was a good thing he went over to see the cat. He felt very fortunate and became a great patron of that temple. And so that's the idea, is the beckoning cat will bring you good luck and good fortune and wealth. And so this is one of the shrines we get to visit. Very popular as well. So that just about brings us to the end here. Like I warned you, we packed a lot in that episode. Hope you survived. Holly, what are your final thoughts on Japan?
Japan is really neat. It's unlike anywhere else I've ever been. It's just a lot to see, a lot to do. If you're coming here, kind of plan on spending some time getting out of the city, seeing some of the other places. The people are super nice. It's easy to get around. The trains run like clockwork. They're super fast. You can cover a lot of ground really quickly on the train, and it sometimes it's overcomplicated. I find some of the public systems.
With the automation?
Yeah, the automation, just it's so complicated. Like there's so many trains, and
Yeah.
it's very organized, but almost like optimized so much so that it takes you a bit to figure out how everything works. But just stick with it. People will help you out too if you ask. We use Google Translate a lot. There wasn't always somebody that spoke English, or some of the menus weren't in English, but we had no problem. Everybody was patient with us. We could like hand them our phone. They'd read it and then write in what their response was and read it to us. So we communicated with their phone that way a lot. It was just really neat. I always felt safe. A super safe, clean country.
I found it amazing how Tokyo is a metropolis of 37 million people, but I found it so relaxing. It's like once you wrapped your head around the metro, etc., everyone was just so nice, and it was just kind of calm in its own way. A really neat destination.
After 3 weeks in Japan, it was time to go. We jumped on a train and got to the airport. Where are we off to next?
This is going to be our final stop before we're back to Ottawa. We are going out with a bang. come back next time. We're headed to Hawaii.